What's going on, Packers fans? Eddie here from the Beers and Ball Show. And today I want to talk about some of the biggest camp battles that are going to be happening during training camp this offseason. Nobody's really talking about too much. And I kind of want to start first with the tight end room. So most recently, the Packers signed Luke Musgrave to add to that tight end room. And it's brought up kind of an interesting thought in my head. I wouldn't be surprised by even the end of training camp, if not the trade deadline, that the Packers move off of Luke Musgraves. Because I think his style of play does not match what the Green Bay Packers are looking for this season. And when you have Josh Whyle there, who I think for what the Green Bay Packers asked him to do, he did a phenomenal job at that. You know, he's not a game breaker like Tucker Kraft. He's not a world beater at tight end. Before what Matt LaFleur asked out of him last year, he did a stellar job, and I think there's a lot of confidence that Matt LaFleur has in Josh Whyle. And I don't know a ton about Luke Musgrave, but if there is anything I do know is that tight end 3 position, you're blocking, because there ain't no rock without the block. And I think Josh Whyle did a phenomenal job, not only coming in and being able to chip blockers. Now we can look back at different things. You can find them in a film, maybe whiffing on a chipping an edge rusher to get out and to the flat or up the field. But I think overall, for the way the NFL is moving towards more 2 tight end sets, more 3 tight end sets, that's a fun camp battle for me to watch to see which one of them gets involved with, the first team offense, of course, until Tucker Kraft gets back, and who they're kind of tipping their hand to on who they're looking to have a good year this year. That's going to make the 53-man roster. So that's where I kind of start out with my interesting camp battle starts there. And then my next camp battle is going to be kind of all along the offensive line when it comes outside of the top 5. We got Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Banks at left guard, Ryan at center, Belton at right guard, and Zach Tom at right tackle. So outside of those, your core 5, they got a lot of question marks in the depth pieces. Now we bring in Jager Burton from Kentucky, who is already getting first-team reps, at least in OTAs and minicamp, and there's a lot to love about Burton. And I think there is going to be a great competition there. But it's kind of everybody else after that. We're talking about the Travis Glovers, the John Williams, and Jacob Monk. All those guys that are behind them, Donovan Jennings. There's a lot of question marks of their style of play. And, as we all know, the Packers love to play their linemen at a ton of different positions. And that interests me on what they're going to be able to do with those backups, because there was a lot of movement on that offensive line last year, and you got to expect the NFL, guys get injured, and I want to have a better confidence level with the backups in the offensive line room going into this year than I had in the last 2 years. So I think there's going to be a lot of competition in that room between those 4 guys that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, because everybody wants to talk about right now that there's a lot of holes in our actual starting 5 offensive line that doesn't give you a lot of confidence. I'm even more scared for the backups. So I hope to see a lot of growth this year, especially out of guys like Travis Glover, who seems to have the talent to play at the NFL level. Maybe he gets in competition with Kennard for that swing tackle, or else, in better words, a third tight end fat guy for them there. And then another one that I'm puzzled with is not just it's like a 4th/5th wide receiver camp battle between Savion Williams, Bo Melton, and Isaiah Neyor. It's interesting to me because Matt LaFleur loves Bo Melton. Bo Melton is a great special teams player. But I think Isaiah has more physical ability than Bo Melton does. It's like filling that Malik Heath role the last 2 years, where I'm calling on you 2 or 3 times, maybe 4 times in the year to come up and make sure you get a big catch. And I think Isaiah can do that better than Bo Melton can. Don't get me wrong, Bo Melton's made some fantastic plays the last few years for the Green Bay Packers, but you kind of know what you're getting with them. And to be point blank honest, I don't want to see neither of them on third and gotta have it, let alone a fourth and need it. But that's an interesting battle that's going to be happening all through training camp because their path to the field is special teams. But again, it's the NFL. Players get injured. So at a drop of a dime, we could be seeing one of those three guys play a prominent role. And I do think Savion Williams does take that fourth receiver role. He got a lot of love from Jordan Love last week. And when you get that level of love from your quarterback, that there must be something going on that we're not seeing on the day-to-day basis at practice or training camp, mini camp, whichever you have it. And then my last one is going to be edge rush because there's a lot. It's very crowded in that room. And I've had some different discourses about maybe this player doesn't necessarily fit this new Jonathan Gannon scheme. You got Brenton Cox Jr., who they brought back and gave some money to, who's always been really good, especially in like the summer. He's always looked really good in training camp, always looked really good in the preseason games, and he's always been fine. Like, you're not losing anything with having Brenton Cox Jr. on the field. He's a great special teams guy. But when it comes to getting after the passer, that room's very filled because you bring in the Danny Dennis Sutton. You just brought him in from the draft. You got Barron Sorrell and Colin Oliver last year. Colin Oliver still kind of dealing with injuries, but he played very well. He stood out in that Minnesota game, and Sorrell lit that game on fire. There's a lot to look forward to, but I think the bad side of that is it's the divvying up of the reps. And it'll be interesting to see, and I think we'll know early on in camp on who the Packers are betting to win on, like who they think is going to probably win out that edge rush room to be the backup to either Micah Parsons when he gets back or Lukas Van Ness during the season in full swing, because those guys play pivotal roles. When Micah Parsons needs a breather, the pass rush still got to get home. And I think Danny Dennis Sutton and Barron Sorrell are going to be those guys leading the race in this one just because they just bring a different element to the game than Brenton Cox Jr. and Colin Oliver have for this system. Now, a lot of people will say that Barron Sorrell probably doesn't fit in this system, but Jonathan Gannon, he's a Jimmys and Joes, not an X and O's kind of guy, so he's going to do everything he can to put these players in the best position possible. So those are my interesting ones to look at. Make sure you let us know in the comment section what are some other camp battles you want to look at, because I know the favorites going around now is the cornerback room. I mean, obviously the line's getting fun. Even the safety room's getting a little fun. Let us know what the one thing you're looking forward to most in these camp battles as we transition from mini camp and OTAs to this dead period now all the way into training camp. And always remember, go Pack, go.